Roly-poly wankers. Yeah. Welcome to the CM Kozeman channel, everybody, where we will tonight tackle an incredible cryptozoological mystery. The mystery of the cryptid deep sea spider. How was it first seen? What identities were proposed to explain it? And ultimately, what it turned out to be. And I kind of gave the last bit away by saying roly-poly wankas in the beginning because it's just an expression that you can't shake. Anyways, let us deep dive into this incredible cryptid profile. And before going, if you like hearing me say roly-poly wankers, please contribute to my Patreon or get some shit from the merch store. The links are all below. And if you can't do any of those, at least subscribe to this channel or maybe even comment roly-poly wankas to drive up the engagement with the algorithm and shit. Anyway, here we go. So the year is 1989 and a team headed by two researchers, Halmar Thiel and Gert Schriver, engage in a kind of submersible dive in the Pacific Ocean of Peru. Now, this being 1989, certain technologies are at their infancy. People can kind of do underwater cameras and remote operated vehicles, but the technology is kinda rudimentary. So instead of giving you crisp 4K resolution images of the underwater environment, as researchers can get today, the submersibles used in 1989 give a black and white only aliens remote operated camera kind of vibe to the images they capture. So imagine the surprise of our researchers were somewhere off the coast of Peru in the deep sea. They encounter this arachnid abomination just sitting there, not giving a fuck, in all of its grainy VHS quality black and white image glory. It has a ball-like body and some legs and two things that kind of look like antenna, but they also kind of look like legs too. The body is just a round ball, and this is what sets it apart from traditional sea spiders of the pycnogonid group, because you may not be aware, but there is a group of animals known as sea spiders. Here's what they look like. Trouble is, their bodies are long and gangly and have this kind of pipe-like aesthetic, which is instantly recognizable. Now, this Peru creature does not have that. It's just a grainy ball sitting there, not giving a damn. Maybe it could be some sort of crab, but the way the legs are put together doesn't really look like a crab either, and it doesn't have any big claws like a crab. So tentatively, the scientists identify this, and this is, I think, really ridiculous, and goes on to show that these scientists probably did not exactly know invertebrate classification, because they classify it as a kind of giant marine tailless whip scorpion. If you watch the CM Kozeman arachnid specials, you would know what whip scorpions are. The correct scientific name of their group is Amblypygi, and they live on land. They don't even look like the creature in that image at all. I mean, they do have a kind of ball-shaped abdomen, but they also have a front part with vicious-looking claws. Okay, I'll grant it, their legs kind of do look like the legs of the creature in the image, but the way tailless whip scorpions hold them is like fully flat horizontal, because they crawl about on cave walls and maybe the cave floor and on trees sometimes. And it's a complete mystery how this group of animals may have had a marine representative that would only turn up now. I mean, if there was a group of sea-living, tailless whip scorpions, you would probably discover other species too, right? Maybe there would be things on seashores, kind of like spidery crab things. Maybe lots of stuff on coral reefs. I mean, on coral reefs, you also have things called arrow crabs, which kind of do look spidery, but they're brightly colored. And you also have the aforementioned pycnogonid sea spiders. So among all that diversity, if amblypigids, the tailless whip scorpions, had evolved a marine species or a marine lineage, you would see them somewhere else too before one turned out freakishly on this 1989 ROV dive. And even the title of the scientific paper which chronicles this discovery is kind of weird and sus, and it belies the at least taxonomical ignorance of the researchers. It is entitled The Discal Enigmatic Species, a Deep Sea Pedipalp? Published in the journal Senkenbergiana Maritima, Volume 20 in 1989. Now, why anyone would call this a deep sea pedipalp is a mystery, because the pedipalp is the organ which arachnids use for various purposes. It's like seeing a mermaid and then writing an article about an open sea elbow, or I don't know, a pelagic knee or something like that. It just reeks of incompetence. And I don't want to throw shade on these researchers. They're probably alive and they might be listening to this podcast, but that snap diagnosis and the way the paper is named are very suspicious, to say the least. And I'm not the only person to think that way. In fact, there was another scientist who had a similar suspicion. So along came a rebuttal. And that's the really nice thing about science in general. If someone publishes something which you think is shit, you can publish a response to that in another journal, and if the original claimant reads it, you can get a kind of dialogue going. And before the internet, that's how most scientific discussion took place in public. In 2004, in a paper titled Munopsidid Isopod Attracted to Bait in the Discal Area, Pacific Ocean, a bunch of researchers, including the original two authors who first proposed the amblypigid hypothesis, actually corrected this mistake and called it as it is. They revealed the mystery deep sea spider cryptid to be a, you guessed it, roly-poly wanker. Okay, so I am calling it a roly-poly wanker because this creature turned out to be an isopod, which is the same group containing the roly-polies, that's what the British call them, the little pill bugs and sow bugs you see in their garden and many people like to culture as low-maintenance pets today. They are from the same group, which is an amazing spectrum of diversity, almost as strange as a marine living amblypigid would have been. On one hand, you got these little roly-polies in your garden and stuff, and then you have other isopods living in creek beds and streams. They look like little sideways flattened roly-polies, but you can still tell the isopod shape from them. And in the deepest seas, you have the giant isopods, which have kind of become an internet sensation, so you would find some people who knows what they are. They are giant, almost baby-sized versions of the common garden roly-poly. Now, what's really strange about these roly-poly spider wankers is that they really stretch the isopod body plan to an extreme. They're not the only deep sea isopods to do that, but these monopsid isopods have a staggering diversity within themselves too. Isopods in general are staggeringly diverse, and I once foolishly attempted to do a video cataloging all isopod groups, but then gave up upon seeing how horrifically diverse they are. And Monopsidae is a case in point. Just under this group you got other subgroups with crazy cool names such as Acanthocopinae, Iliarachnae, Lipomerinae, Strotningurinae, Euricopinae, Cineuricopinae, and so on and so forth. And the genera too have really cool names. One of them is named like a demon, Bellibos, as if you're summoning it. Another one is called Amuletta, which maybe looks like an amulet, so nobody knows. But the mystery deep sea spider cryptid in question probably belongs to the genus Paropsurus, which has a more conservative body plan than many other deep sea isopods in this monopsid group. It is actually really comical. It looks like somebody took a normal-ish isopod body and just glued long legs to it and just called it a day. So this, as you can see, is what Paropsurus looks like. And that was the identity of the deep sea mystery spider cryptid. Now, as I told you, deep sea isopods can come in a variety of really horrific and weird shapes. And we haven't even scratched the surface of that group. So if you like this video, maybe we can do other short deep dives into strange isopods one by one, because there's no way on earth I'm going to be able to tackle the entire group in not even in a series of videos, let alone one video. So that's gonna be that, but I hope you enjoyed the revelation of the deep sea roly-poly wanker, which just has ridiculous legs. I wonder what it does there under the sea with those long legs. Anyways, that was that, a short cryptid profile, which actually isn't really cryptidish at all. But I also want to touch on how images like this gain a kind of mimetic life of their own. When you're talking about the mystery deep sea spider, at a point you stop talking about an animal or a group of animals and actually start talking about the mystery contained in that one grainy VHS quality image. And I think things like that have a cultural life of their own, which merits further study as folklore, if not as biology. So there, everybody, that was the deep sea spider mystery solved. Turns out it's a roly-poly wanker, and thanks for listening and tuning in. I hope you like this neat short illustrated format. I want to keep on doing this as long as I have time and means to do it. So if you liked it, really a donation on Patreon. If you're subscribing already, maybe up your subscription from the $1 tier to the $2 or the $5 tier. It really helps, and if you can't, well, just leave a comment, and as always, I love you all.